Hello students, in this video session, we will learn the basics of computer organization. As you all know, a computer is a very complex device. It involves a lot of components, their interconnections, their programming, and therefore designing of each and every component is a very challenging and tedious task. It actually involves an interesting design process. And therefore, this particular video session will give you some insights about what are the basics of computer organization. What are the structural features of any computer system? What are the functions involved while designing this computer system? So let us first understand the two key terms which are involved in computer organization. The first one is computer organization. And when we refer to this term, it is actually referring to the operational units and their interconnections. And these two aspects, the units, operational units and the interconnections actually help us to realize the architectural specifications. Therefore, these aspects include the hardware components, and these are transparent to the user or the programmer. For example, what are the control signals which are being used to do a certain operation? How is the memory or the peripheral device interfaced? What type of memory technology is being used for the data storage? So these are some hardware components which are involved or which are used to describe computer organization. Whereas if we look at the computer architecture, it refers to those attributes which are visible to the programmer, system attributes which are visible to the programmer, and they have a direct impact on the way the program gets executed, the logical execution of this program. For example, if we look at the instruction set, how many instructions are available? What type of instructions are available? How many number of bits are used to represent the various data? What are the different type of addressing techniques? What are the I/O mechanisms involved? So all these aspects are the attributes which a programmer must take care of while doing the efficient programming. If we look at a particular problem, like if we want to multiply two numbers and want to obtain a certain product. Now, what aspect of this particular multiplication operation comes under organization and what aspect comes under architecture? As we all know that multiplication can be done by repetitive additions. So in a computer system, do we have a separate multiplier unit? Or is the multiplication being done by repetitive additions? That is, the adder unit itself is used for doing the multiplication operation. This is an organizational issue. However, whether the multiply operation or multiply instruction is available for the programmer is an architectural design issue. So I hope it is clear what do we mean by an organization aspect and what is an architectural aspect. Basically, any computer system is a hierarchical system. It is always designed or it is always built at different levels, and there are many subsystems even at each level. So all these subsystems are interrelated. They are going to communicate with each other, and this level of hierarchy is brought down to such a level where we obtain the most elementary subsystem at the bottom level. So there is the hierarchical system is broken down into many levels, and when we go to the bottom level, it is the most basic operation which is being done at that level. The behavior of every level will be dependent on how the lower level is working. What is the characterization of the lower level? That would decide the upper level's behavior. And at every level, the designer will be concerned with the structure of that subsystem in that level, as well as what is the function being done. So let us look at these two aspects of the first one is the structure. A structure is the way in which components are interrelated. So at every level, the subsystems are going to be linked to each other, and how are they interrelated is what is going to be dealt in structure. And the function is the operation of each and every individual component which is a part of this structure. So operations being done by every subsystem will fall under the function category. Now, any hierarchical system can be, as you all know, can be designed in two ways with two approaches. One is the top-down approach and the other is bottom-up approach. So either we can start from the topmost level and go on breaking down the processes into smaller and smaller chunks and go to the bottom level, or we can start with a small unit at the bottom level and then build up and move towards the highest level. However, it has been seen that the top-down approach has always been more effective in design of computer systems. Let us now look at the functional view of a computer system. Whenever we have to perform certain operation, the data will come from the environment, operating environment, and therefore the environment will be the source as well as destination of the data. To move this data, we require data movement apparatus. To control this movement, we require what is called as the control mechanism. We might also require the storage. So data storage facility should be there. And obviously we might need to process the data. So data processing facility should also be there in the functional view of a computer system. So these are the four main components which are involved in or which are required in a computer. So we require data movement, we require control mechanism, data processing and data storage. Now what are the possible operations? The user might just use a computer system for movement of data from one peripheral to other or from one communicating device to other. So there could be a possibility of this type of operation, that is the data is coming from the environment and it is being simply transferred to some other peripheral device. Second type of operation could be a computer system might be used for data storage. So the data might come from the external world and it will move into the storage. So this is the possibility of the second type of operation. The third type is the data might be processed and this data might come from the data storage and it might be processed and it might be again stored in the data storage. So this is the possibility of movement and operation in any computer system. The fourth operation is the user might fetch data from the external world, process it and store it, or the data could be fetched from the storage, then processed and then transferred to the external world. So this is the possibility of fourth operation. And these are the only four types of operations which will be required in any computer system. Let us now look at what are the structural components available in a computer system so as to perform these four possible operations. And the basic four components are the component which deals with the input-output devices and therefore it is called as I/O. The second is the main memory which is required for storing data. The third is the central processing unit which is required for processing the data, and to control all these or to have an interconnection of all these, to have a communication between all these, we require a system bus. So these are the four main elements of a computer system. The central processing unit, it controls the sequence of the computer and it performs the data processing. functions, whatever are required. Main memory is obviously the memory which is required for storage of data. I/O devices, input-output devices, they move data from the computer system to the external environment. And the system bus, as we said, or system interconnections, it is some mechanism which allows communication between the CPU, the memory, or the I/O devices. And it is therefore simply referred as the system bus. A bus is like an entity which will carry the data from one place to the other. If we move on to the details of the central processing unit, there are again we can break down the central processing unit into smaller units. We have registers. The second component is ALU, that is arithmetic logic unit, and then the control unit, and again an internal bus to link all these three units. So the control unit, it controls the operation of the CPU and hence it controls the operation of the computer itself. The arithmetic logic unit is the unit which is responsible for data processing functions. Registers are required for temporary storage while this processing is going on. So it provides a small internal storage to the CPU. It is not like the main memory storage. It is just an internal storage to the CPU. And the CPU interconnections, again, these are some mechanisms via which we can have data transferred from the ALU to the registers, back to the ALU or to the control unit, and so forth. The important part in the CPU is the control unit. And if we can break down the control unit again into smaller blocks, the first one is the sequencing logic, to decide what is the sequence to be followed while executing a certain process. Control unit registers and decoders to decide what type of operation needs to be done. And then a control memory so as to preserve the task or to retain the tasks which are to be done. And there are several approaches to the implementation of a control unit. A micro-programmed implementation is one of these approaches. In the micro-programmed control unit implementation, the operations are done by executing small micro instructions that define the functionality of the control unit. So there are micro instructions, means the operation is broken down into extremely small steps, and these are what are called as micro instructions executed in the control unit for performing a bigger operation. Then there are certain registers which are required in the control unit. These are utilized by the control unit as well as the ALU for some temporary storage, and therefore they are called as registers. The first amongst them is the memory buffer register, which is MBR. It contains a word which needs to be stored in memory, or it needs to be transferred to the I/O unit, or is used to receive a word from the memory or the I/O device. So memory buffer register. It is like a buffer. What is to be stored, which is to be sent to the memory or to the I/O device. Then we have a memory address register. It specifies the address in the memory of the word which is to be written or to be read from the memory buffer register. So if we want to transfer a certain data into the main memory, what is this location where we want to transfer this data? This location would be stored in the memory address register. Then there are two registers which are associated with instructions. The first one is instruction register. It contains an 8-bit code, which is the instruction code, and that specifies what instruction is being executed. Instruction buffer register, IBR, it is used to hold temporarily the right hand instruction from a word in the memory. So it's like a buffer which is used to store the instruction